And we're live. Good evening, whiskey brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Canadian Whisky Journeys, the True North, Dram, and 3. I'm Dolph. I'll be your host tonight, and I'm joined by Davin de Kergommeaux and Blair Phillips, co-authors of this book right here. Now, we call it the Canadian Whisky Journey as it's a continuation of our 15 weeks worth of time that I spent with Davin and Blair last summer and spring. True North, because, well, our desire to review Canadian spirits. Dram, because we're focusing on whiskey for the most part, and 3, because usually we're going to have all three of us here. Davin and Blair, I'll have you gentlemen introduce yourselves if I could.
Hi, I'm Davin de Kergommeaux. Blair and I wrote that book, The Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries, and we're talking about spirits from different distilleries that are in this book. So we have over 200 distilleries there, so we got a couple of years to go.
Couple years. We got lots of these shows to go. And Blair?
Blair Phillips, co-author of the Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries. Thank you for holding up the stunt double. And we're here to enjoy some Odd Society whiskey tonight.
Excellent. And whiskey brothers and sisters, you are in for a treat tonight. Well, I'm in for a treat tonight, and Blair's in for a treat, and Davin's in for a treat because we've got the bottle. So we're enjoying this. But I'm hoping that you will get your hands on the Odd Society's Storm Black Plague Canadian whiskey at one point in time. And then you will be just as happy as me. So just a couple little bits of information. So the Odd Society's in North Vancouver. There's a picture of it there. They've got a beautiful distillery, and they've got a great tasting room with tons of art, and of course the stills and everything else. It's a beautiful place. But here's a picture of the 3, and we're dealing with the middle one tonight. So we did Parallel 49 last time, Storm tonight, and DCBC. Doan. Oh, and I'll get that right next time. I'm just wondering. But we're promoting is what we are doing, the Odd Society. And I've even got pics of the lovely people as well. So there's Gordon. He's the owner, master, and trained as a master distiller from Harriet Watt, Edinburgh. And here's his lovely wife and the distillery manager, Miriam, and pictured here with her daughters, Mia and Abby. And I'm not sure which one's which, and I might have asked beforehand. And I feel bad I don't know. And here's Joel with the 3, former brewer and now full-time distiller, picked with the 3 collab whiskeys, all there for us. So we've got some nice pictures there. And this is what we have tonight, right there. I've been looking forward to this all week, gentlemen. Hopefully you have too. And our spirit tonight, Odd Society's collab with Storm Brewing, and they have a unique link with them as well. And I get this out of the article that Davin and Blair had. I'll throw this article. I'll show you a couple times, but there's the article. And you go to CanadianDistilleries.com, you can see the article. And they talk about the inception of it, but they're linked between them because Storm is who provided the mash for the Odd Society when it first opened, when they didn't have their mashing equipment yet. And what do you say about the 1,000 liters of mash Storm that they got to Odd Society? Because I pictured them rolling 1,000-liter barrel down the street. Is that what happened? And how often did this happen? I'm going to throw this to you, gentlemen.
Well, back in 2013, when Odd Society opened up, they would get Storm to make their wort because they didn't have any mashing equipment back then. I believe it's mashing equipment. And so they would, I assume they were 1,000-liter totes that they would haul the 250 meters from Storm to Odd Society. And from that, a bit of a relationship started where back in the day in 2013, if you had a distillery in BC, you couldn't have other alcohol products inside your lounge except for the stuff you made.
Right.
So Gordon and Miriam wanted to have some kind of whiskey-like spirit. So they got they made some vodka, aged it in a first fill barrel for a little bit, and they used that to make cocktails. And I think it might have been a limited release around the time. And then eventually, when they started thinking about this program of getting breweries in the neighborhood to collaborate, they sent that empty barrel that aged the vodka. And what Storm did was they aged their Black Plague Stout, which apparently is outstanding and pretty popular on the West Coast. Unfortunately, we can't get it in Ontario, but I heard that the beer is ridiculously good. So they aged their beer in that barrel for X amount of time. I'm not really sure which. And after they dumped it, they sent it back to Odd Society, and Odd Society aged a 100% rye whiskey in that barrel for 3 years. And this whiskey that we're trying tonight is actually a blend. So they took that rye whiskey, 75% of it, blended it off with 25% of another blended malt whiskey that they made with Duval Gandhi from the UK, and the rest is history. It's a fantastic blend.
And it is fantastic. And I think it's time to take a couple sips. And while you do that, I'm going to throw up a couple pictures of the Odd Society as well as the barrel tops. And Davin talked about this last week, referred to the barrel tops that they have Odd Society, because they devote themselves a lot to the art on the walls. So there's there.
Yeah, I really love those barrel heads that they're getting local artists to come in and paint the barrel heads, and each one's individual, and I just think it's a really cool idea. And of course, they're going to just look fabulous sitting there in the distillery.
It is fantastic. I do. My favorite, however, is right there. Just the colors, right? I just like it. But there's art everywhere, and there's Storm, and Davin. You and Blair in that article talk about the rats as well, or the graffiti rats on the outside of Storm. That's kind of part of them. All in that article right there if you want to go. So what do we get, gentlemen, on the nose? Now, I always say spice when it's rye, but I'm going to try to be a little bit more specific with the spice.
For a rye, I find it quite malty. Really quite malty. I got a lot of malty notes there. But I mean, it's sweet. It's nicely sweet on the nose. And
so
there's some herbal notes there as well. I guess it's
sweet enough to be called caramel. Would you call it caramelly smell to it?
I have more barley sugar maybe, but it's a little lighter than caramel.
Yeah, it's just really lively too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really
don't want to say pepper either. I'm trying to get to a spice and a flavor for the spice. I don't want to say clove, but it's close to clove. I don't want to say pepper, but it's close to pepper. I don't know
I think it's closer to pepper. Depending on how you mash rye, you get different flavors. And I don't think that they got much of what we think of as rye spices in American spice. I think that this is a much different kind of spectrum of flavor. So I find it quite I find it more malty. I'm tasting it against this Prospector rye that which is 100% rye from the same distillery, and I find that one is a lot more it tastes a lot more like rye. But a lot of the Canadian small distilleries, they're making these wonderful ryes that they're more citrus and they have more spices, and not the same kind of really heavy barrel notes that you get in American rye. I think that Canada's really blowing rye spices wide open.
I agree.
Or rye flavors wide open. You think of something like Stillwater's rye, which doesn't taste like American rye, but it's really quite sensational. And I really quite enjoy this Storm as well.
Well, it's blowing it away, and they're all divergent. They're all quite different from each other. We can't say this is a Canadian rye and just say one rye. It's
no.
But that was a good idea, actually, putting the Prospector up against it, because last week you did their malt or their single malt with that.
Commodore, yeah. I always like to taste two whiskeys together. I don't like to taste just one because, it's nice to have compare and contrast.
Well, in this case, I really do agree. I generally like doing peat with non-peat because I find that I get the flavors out. I get the sweet flavors out when I use a peat that I don't usually get. And this is a good idea to do it because it's both 100%. Well, this was 100% their rye before they did the 25% barley, but they're both 100% rye to start. Blair?
But I like that idea of blending in the 25% malt whiskey or malt spirit, because you're getting I guess more breadth of flavor. Yeah. I'm sorry this is sold out, because this is a really quite an exciting experiment. They've got lots more coming, though. They've got one coming that's made with buckwheat. And I remember talking to one of the old guys from Crown Royal who said that they made some buckwheat whiskey, I know 40 years ago. He said it was just outstanding for blending, but you could only add a very little bit because it's the most powerful tasting whiskey he'd ever tasted.
Okay.
So they got one coming with buckwheat.
Just the flavor, not mouthfeel. Is it an oily grain as well, or no?
I don't have much experience.
I don't know either. Okay.
No, I've had one buckwheat whiskey. It was a French whiskey.
I never have. Nice mouthfeel as well.
Yeah,
I find it really. Yeah, I find that the mouth compared to the palate compared to the nose is just to me, it was a punch in the face. Like, it just wakes you up right away. Yeah.
Well, and I think we're all three rye fans as well. I love my rye, so this was a special week for me. And next week, same thing, rye again, which makes me really happy. I love my single malts. I love scotches. I love my whiskeys. But there's a place in my heart for rye as an Alberta boy, I think. And
yeah, you guys have the best rye grain,
Well, I'm appreciating the ryes from everywhere else as well. And what we tasted this summer, we tasted quite a few ryes, and I was pleasantly surprised, not just by the prairies, but what we were getting in Ontario. And last straw with the cask strength, we're going to open that up at one point. I haven't opened it yet, but
oh boy,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the rye grain. The Europeans who make rye whiskey often buy Canadian rye.
Yep, this is good. But the one thing I did want to mention on the finish, and I tried this before, I left this out probably for about 20 minutes, tasted it, and probably about 30 seconds after I swallowed, I got the citrus, and I usually get citrus. But this was mandarin orange. And I'm wondering if either of you, because you haven't sipped it for a second, do you have that kind of at the back of your throat? A little mandarin orange? Or I might have been imagining it because I'm kind of craving it right now. But
I do get a bittersweet tanginess off the finish, but I couldn't pinpoint it either.
All right. And I was looking for the chocolates, and I was looking. Good job, Naren. Thank you. Naren from North Star, Alberta. She's way up north, and she. I like it when she agrees with me. That's nice.
Did you get chocolate in this?
No. And I couldn't tell the coffee or chocolate I was looking for because the beer came in. So I was looking for that link, but I'm not getting it yet. And maybe it will once this gets a little bit more oxidized later on. So I'll keep looking for it. But right now, how about you, gentlemen?
In my tasting notes, I have, it's like Easter bunnies. I had this flash of chocolate, and I have not been able to find it again since.
Okay. Maybe when you popped it open, your neck pour was chocolate.
Maybe, but there was some.
All right. Well, this is the end of our 15 minutes. And Blair, I'm going to have you give us final thoughts, and then I'm going to Davin.
Yeah, if this is what Davin's Easter chocolate tastes like, I'm coming to his place for Easter.
Yes, he'll hide all the Easter bunnies around, and we'll look. You just need your shot before you get to Davin's.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say that I think that Odd Society Spirits seems to thrive on innovation. And I just found out about a new program they're doing. They're going to sell memberships in whiskey, and you get 6 bottles of whiskey. You get a bottle of new make, and then every year for 5 years you get a bottle of the whiskey as it's matured, and it's the same whiskey from the same batch every year. So I think, like, Odd Society, the stuff sells out so fast that now that we're talking about it, it's history. But great stuff there. I really love Odd Society. That's
a great idea. If you want to see the difference that 1 year makes in whiskey, and then 2 years and 3 years, I think that's fantastic. Yeah. I might get a couple of the sets and do a tasting with the Alberta Scotch Society. That might be a good idea. Yeah. But gentlemen, that's it. Let's do this is you're never going to buy it. This one's you'll buy it if you had a chance. Where are you with this whiskey?
Way up.
Well, we're all there. So I don't think we're ever going to have a sideways, because I just won't review it, because why would we do that?
I don't like reviewing whiskeys I don't like. Yeah. If I don't enjoy them, I don't want to waste my time reviewing them.
I am the same way. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been fantastic. Join us next week. We're at 15 minutes. I went over a couple seconds, but I don't feel too bad about it. Thank you both so much for joining us. Thank you to everyone out there who joined us tonight. And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you